You
It's
do.
all ugly. It's all hard. It's all uncertain. Everybody knows how to do it better than you. It's all it's all ridiculous. And yet here we are.
Still doing it.
Yeah, like suckers.
So both of you guys have been plowing longer than I have, so I just jumped into it a couple years ago.
Sure. I love it though. You can't fake it. Like you get to see who's who. You get to see what's what. Who shows up. Who does the hard thing. How resilient you could be.
Yeah.
And when you connect with good guys on your team or however, and they figure it out or they're in line, like that's tough to beat when you're in stride with guys doing hard things together. There's something about being in the trenches like that that you just can't be replaced. You
No,
know when he's there on that many hours, he's choosing to dig deep and do it with you anyways. There's something special about that.
there is, yeah. Not giving up to the 1,000-pound eyelids. All you can think about is going to sleep, but you decided you choose to just keep hammering away until the work's done.
Yeah. And then to see them realize like they kind of get euphoric and they're like, oh man, we hit like, I'm not going to say how many hours, too many hours. And they're like, let's go. What else we got to clear? What else can we do? It's like, oh, cool. Way to go. Like you found a new thing. And they just
Yeah.
get so jacked on that. I love seeing that.
I think the longest route that I've had to run in the 3 years I've been doing snow, I think was 12 hours, which I think is a normal route for most people. But
Yeah, that's fair.
to the guy that mentored me, he goes, "Oh, 4 to 6 hours is what we run." And but granted, he had, I think at the time, 3 trucks and a backhoe going out. Now he's got 5 trucks and a loader and 2 tractors.
Yep.
But still the same, because he goes, for where we're at, if you get a 3-inch storm, yes, it's not gonna take very long. But what happens if you get the 8-inch storm? You have to go out 2, 3 times. Turns into a 12, 16-hour day.
Yeah. So why don't we, Dan, we're recording, right?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay, so why don't we, in a second here, start maybe just like one at a time, like name, business name, where you work, and what kind of work you do the rest of the year. Is that better, Dan? Can you see me?
Yeah, it's great.
Great might be a stretch, but I'll take it.
Good enough.
Good enough. Good enough will do. Okay, so would anybody in particular like to start?
I can start. So I'm Garrett Williams with G&M Outdoor Services here in central Minnesota. We do, excuse me, we do landscaping, excavating, and snow removal in central Minnesota. We started 2017, got our first backblade in 2019 as soon as I seen a YouTube video on one. And I've been plowing since 2012 or 13, so I might have been doing it for about 10 years almost. So it's been good. We've grown to about 35 employees, 35 to 40 in the winter, and then we have about 25 to 30 in the summertime. So our winter season here in Minnesota is roughly November to or through March.
Cool. That's a serious situation you got there.
It's enough. I'm young with a lot of energy and ambition, and it's enough to keep me busy, keep me out of trouble, that's for sure.
Totally. And before you got kids, soak it up, baby.
I got one coming in February.
Congrats. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm excited.
No kidding. Taylor, how about yourself?
So I'm Taylor Schofield with Schofield Lawn Care here in West Michigan. I'm just about 35 minutes northeast of Grand Rapids, so pretty much the home of all backblades, it seems like. It's me, my wife, and another helper in the summertime. We go up to one more person in the winter we have 2 people doing sidewalks, me and her plowing. We haven't plowed yet this year. I started in 2019 doing just the lawn care side. I didn't start till 2021 doing snow. I started off doing sidewalks. Next winter, I got my own truck. That's when I got my first backblade. I got a 16-foot short iron, now Top Gun, as everybody knows. Went through that winter, added another truck this year. We don't do a whole lot in the snow. We have about 25, 26 accounts, but it keeps me busy.
Great. That's all you need. More is not always better.
No, it's all super profitable. And the only reason why I started doing snow, because when I started doing the lawn care stuff, I didn't want to do snow. I had no desire. And if I wanted to quit my job being I work as a nurse tech at a ER in Grand Rapids. I'm like, if I want to quit my winter job, I need to do something in the winter. It's either Christmas lights or snow plowing. Well, there's nothing for Christmas lights around here, so it's just snow removal.
Congrats, man. You did it.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people talking. You actually took the action. That's scary. So, okay. So let's go through a few things here. Gary said you saw it on video. What video did you see? What? That's how I found it too. I guess that would have been 2016, 2017 is when I found it. And I thought it was a gimmick. I didn't think it could actually work. The mechanics seemed to not make sense and be the opposite of standard blades, which everybody uses. So it was a big leap for me. But how did you get there?
It was a big leap for me too. Yeah, we started our business in July of 2017. So I think it was like our second winter. I seen a video on the Dirt Monkeys channel actually. And I've always been the type to like, yeah, it looks cool. Like I kind of want to try it for myself to really base an opinion on it. You can't base an opinion on anything unless you have firsthand experience. You can't just go off everyone else's opinion. You got to kind of use it for yourself and, whatever application you plow in. So that's what I did. I spent all the money I had to get one. I had no idea how it would work. It looked cool. It looked way more fun than a front plow and looked like way more productive. So I gathered up all the money I could to buy one in 2019 and got our first one. And then I was just blown away by it. First time I used it, I was like, wow. I was like, I've been doing this wrong for a few years now. I've been doing this wrong all along. Like this is it. This is the beast needs. And I've learned a ton with them. We have we have 5 top guns and 1 snow power backblade now. So I have experience now with them for it's like the 5th winter. So I have a decent amount of experience with them, and I put a lot of guys in the seat of one, so I learned a lot that way too. It's funny, my first time plowing with one, actually, I was plowing along a bunch of garages, and I had my front V plow, and I was pushing some snow, pulling it up, and I went to clean up a little trail with my front plow, and I forgot that my wing was out. And I went to get like close to the garage, and all of a sudden I'm going like 15 miles an hour, and all of a sudden I hear boom, boom, boom. I look over, and the other wings all the way in the garage, went right through one garage door, through like the center post, busted the center post of the garage door off, and through another garage door.
No.
And then I called the property manager, and I was like, yeah, hey, I just called him right away. I was like, hey, I had an accident. I hit a couple garage doors. He's like, oh, I actually live at this complex. I'll be right out. So then the property manager came walking out. He's like, what happened? I was like, oh, I forgot my wing was out. And
I swear, this doesn't happen every time. Trust me.
It was an accident. I didn't mean it. He's like, well, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, obviously, we'll fix a couple of panels. It was like a couple grand. So I've had a lot bigger oopsies than that, but that was my first time using it, and I've never made that mistake since.
And warned your guys, pay attention.
Yeah, they reminded me of that one plenty of times, but
wow, you earned it.
Yeah, it was thankfully it was during the day, so I was kind of doing opening up. So there wasn't a vehicle in either garage because I was like 3 feet in the garage. So if there had been like a car parked right there, like I couldn't even hit the front of the car parked in the garage because like little single stall garages. So thankfully there wasn't any property damage or anything. A guy came, it was a couple grand, got it fixed up, and
bro.
But yeah,
you dodged a bullet there. Could have been much worse.
Could have been 20-30 grand, but
yeah. I mean, it's not something you can like hide and like, put them in front of it, but at least it wasn't horrendous.
Yeah, they were pushed all the way in. The center post was knocked right out. It was bad, but wasn't too bad. No one was hurt. So
and like, had you hit like the house or the corner, like you would have mangled it. That plow is gonna go through anything.
Dude, it did. It just powered right through the center post. The garage was like, there's nothing. It just like bulldoze.
Yeah, they are overbuilt, which is good. Until sometimes like, it's a bit much.
I'll text you a picture. You'll laugh when you see it. Just don't post it on the ground.
No, I wouldn't dare.
I'm kidding. You can.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a good learning story. A lot of guys would be like, F this plow, it's the worst ever. But yeah, you didn't take that perspective on it. So when you said you were learning to plow with it, like what changed? Because you didn't have a pole plow. You saw the potential, but like, why would you assuming you would tell somebody about them. Like, what would you, if somebody's looking to be change their service somehow, why would you say a backblade would solve that, or how could they solve that with these differently?
Well, so I think there's obviously with everything there's pros and cons. Like one of the cons is like if you're in a really tight area, like we plowed some more townhomes where they're really tight and you didn't really fit a truck, kind of needed a skid loader because they make the truck a little bit longer. Obviously not that much longer, about 3 feet. But it all depends on the application and the operator. Some people are perfectly fine with being average. Like they want to do what everyone else has done forever and they're fine with that. Where it's like, I've never been fine with that. I always hated average. I always hated ordinary. They want to do whatever it took to be extraordinary. And that's what you can do with the backblade. Like that's the difference. You know, you can scoop so much, you can push so much. There's so much maneuverability with having the wings out so far by being able to like widen a road and not have to put your truck in the ditch to do that. You know, the what you can do with it is endless. Like Rob, I've seen you do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. It's like any tool. If you use it to its full potential, I mean, the opportunities are endless. And once you have one and you start using it, it's like you never want to go without it. You feel dumb going without it. Like if it's ever broke down, you didn't have it in your truck. Like, you're like, what am I doing out here? This is just dumb. Like this doesn't make any sense. Like you're just like beating your head against the wall. You going without it. You can't go without it once you have it.
So when I say like, on some of our videos when we did the podcast, No Jobs, I was like, you know, double production is a thing. So for example, driving through an HOA or in Canada, like a strata, townhouse complex kind of thing. When I was doing a front blade, you kind of like go on the right side, you windrow to the middle, you go on the left side, you windrow to the middle, and then you do a middle scoop. With the pull plow, I grab all of it in a pass. Like it's just not the same. But I mean, obviously I have a very strong bias because I've used it for a while and now I'm the owner. But as a user, like, is what I'm saying blown out of proportion, or is that like obvious?
No, I think it's as long as you have it, a lot of it comes down to like your mindset, your attitude. Because if your attitude is this will never work, I'm never gonna like it, it'll never work for you and you'll never like it. But if your attitude is you want to do things different, you want to get the same job done just as well in half the time, then you need a backblade. Like I've ran it against so many of our other guys, so many other companies, and like a good guy in a backblade, like absolutely no one else can compare to with a pickup. And then people say, you know, oh, it can't stack as high. Well, yeah, no truck stacks as high. It stacks, you know, it's close to as much as a front plow, depending on the snow, obviously. Like if you want to stack a lot of snow, then you should go buy the biggest front end loader you can find. Like starting out.
Why? How much is a front end loader?
The last one we bought was like $240,000.
For stacking, that seems like a unreasonable price tag. I could probably pay somebody like a couple $100 to come touch it up and move on.
Yeah, we didn't buy it for snow. We bought it for moving dirt. But yeah, you can't compare the two. But when we were just starting out, it's like we had to put a plow on whatever we have. We weren't going and buying designated equipment for plowing. We were plowing with whatever truck skid loaders we had, and that's what we were doing. It's like instead of buying another truck, you can really just buy another plow, a back blade, and then do the same one work as two trucks with front plow. But you know, unless you really need that second truck, then you should get a back plow on both of them. But you know, there's so many variables. You know, there's no perfect one-liner answer for everyone's situation. But for us, like what we did, we plowed everything. We plow townhomes. Well, we don't as much anymore, but we plow commercial. We plow residential driveways. And I mean, they work good for everything. They scrape good. Even when it's hard packed, make a couple passes, you can get scraped right down. And like Rob, I know I've seen you say it a few times. People are like, oh, you know, how's the scrape? Well, like, or if it's really uneven. Well, if it's really uneven, the only thing that's going to scrape really good is an R ditch. But as far as the truck plow, like you can narrow it up. Say you're on like a crown, you can narrow it up just to 8 feet. I've done it, or open the wings a little bit, kind of follow each side to get it good. I mean, yeah, it's on old junky parking lots that are really uneven and whatever. It's like no truck plow is really going to stick really good to it. But anywhere it's semi-flat surface, and like most driveways are not crowned, they're just slope straight down, so it just scrapes those like a dream. So we definitely wouldn't ever plow without them. That's for sure. And that's after using them for what's be our 5th year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I find that a lot of the internet questions, we'll say, they're like this pull plow can't work because of if you got 100 feet in 1 hour, you could never. It's like, okay, well, that's not really how it works. No. But in even the more reasonable questions is like, that's actually just like a plow question. That's not a front or back blade question. That is a challenge in the industry, in the market with this equipment. And they do slightly different things. Like a V plow on a truck is going to do something different than an Arctic. They all have their place, but some are more useful and better suited for average plow operator than other things.
Totally,
So
yeah.
that's how I got engaged with this whole thing, was like, oh, same as you. I own the truck. I know how to plow. I have sights, and I can cut down, in particular in open areas. I can cut down the time like crazy, and it feels safer when I'm in a mall or a busy area. And when you take a corner and you have a front blade, I've been doing this a long time. It is still uncomfortable. When you're coming out and there's cars there, I almost hit them all of the time. I mean, a dozen years and I still feel uncomfortable. I know where the plow is. I remember being a rookie and like, oh God, I'm going to rip somebody's bumper off or punch through the side of their door. With the pull plow, you can have it down. You can have the arms out a bit and it just follows you like the tightest trailer ever. In heavy traffic, it is so much easier to plow with a pull plow from my experience.
Well, yeah, one of the biggest things is like, okay, say you're 2 feet away. All you got to do is you get the wings 3/4 of the way out, all the way out. Okay, so you're 2 feet too close. Just bring it in and keep going the same line that you're driving. You're not jimmying back and forth. Just move the wing. Okay, you're a little farther out than you want to be. With the front plow, you can't move it over. You got to move the whole truck back up, go over. With the back blade and the wing, you got 4 feet of movement there, so you can move it in. Like, as you're driving, you can just keep the wing right on whatever you want and get a perfect tight pass the first time instead of jockeying back and forth. Like, it saves a truck so much forward and back in the long term of having to make way less passes, being able to maneuver that way. And it's and another thing not a lot of people talk about is when you have a counterweight. Basically, you have a counterweight in the front and back of the truck. You have 1,000 pounds on the front or 800, whatever front plow you have. That's what you have on the back. So your truck just grips the road insanely good. You have better traction than anyone else on the road when you have a front and back plow because the truck's just weighted perfect. I'm in 4-wheel drive. I have good tires. Like, I can literally go anywhere and do anything. I'm always the guy weaving through traffic because everyone's just driving scared for their life, and I'm just stuck to the road. Like, no problem. I got perfect counterweight, good tires. Like, you can drive anywhere. It's actually a way safer driving around when you have that even counterweight instead of just a big plow in the front. Then you're kind of you're back heavy, or you're front heavy and the back's light and wants to move around. You wants to slide around where you just have such good traction. You just stick to the road so much better too, driving around.
And it doesn't hurt having a badass bumper on the back of your car in winter weather.
Yeah. Especially when you get rear-ended by a couple cars.
Tell me about it.
So last winter, I was with a buddy. We were in Grand Rapids going to either Home Depot or something. We were sitting at a light, and he's got another short iron like I do. Well, we were stopping, and I was just talking about how the prior storm that we had like 2 days ago, I have another friend that runs Ebling back blades, and he got pushed up by his loader and he came up and hit his truck. And because they have a lot more bend and sway than the Top Guns do. And as soon as I said that, I went woof. I'm like, oh, we just got hit. There was one car sitting behind us slowing down, and someone came about 50 mile an hour, just smoked the rear end of her, and it pushed us into his truck. And we're like, we didn't move. It didn't do anything to the plow. Didn't knock the powder coat off. Didn't hit the truck at all. And
hey, how much did I pay you to say this?
well, also like I just from hearing you guys talk, you guys didn't think that the back blades work where I'm at. That's everyone has them. Every company has a 8, 12, 14, 16 footer. You don't see a lot of 20s or 18s by me, but so I learned when I go to shows, I'm in the minority of, hey, a plow truck's supposed to be set up with a front plow, whether it's a wide out, a Prodigy, a V plow, straight blade, and then you have a back blade, whether it be 8, 14, 16 foot. So I always thought they worked. Then I go to these shows, I'm like, oh, trucks are set up with V plows and salters. This is weird. Because most of the companies by me, they'll have, I was just looking at somebody on Facebook the other night, they had probably 40 trucks out, front blade, back blade, and then they have like 2 salt trucks. Not every truck is lined up with a V body. But
all the markets are so different, hey? I would say in particular, your Grand Rapids, Muskegon kind of pull plow development pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most normal is to see like the tandem, or a lot of trucks just have a pull plow. But in the rest of North America, from talking with guys and getting around, I've traveled a fair bit the last couple of years, that's true. Is a lot of guys just have a standard 7.5, 8 foot blade, Plenty of guys have the bigger, hydraulic extension for a scoop on things, but they usually have a salter in the back. And I've
Mhm.
noticed that's also switching to liquids more,
Mhm.
which I think our next iteration will have a connection for liquids bar. So then the benefit of the Top Gun, we don't have anything in your bed. It's still totally available. So we're hoping to start slipping tanks in there with guys next year, and they can be still de-icing. It's more weight efficient,
Yeah.
and you can still get your product down so you're not doing one or the other, because that's too hard of a compromise for a lot of guys.
Yeah. And also just in the development of, because I like I said, I get to see all the back blades, whether it be like Mast. They were the first ones to come up with 180s. They don't
Original.
they don't make them anymore. Like I said, we've got Ebling, B&B just quit making some, but they were all shear pin plows with your pumps or your cylinders on the back. Then there's the Top Guns that have them on the front. So I get everyone that goes when they see how my plow is designed, or our plows, I should say, they don't understand that it doesn't have shear pins. I go, well, I don't have to get out of my truck, and technically I can back up closer to a door or an obstruction or whatever. Yes, if you break something, you break a cylinder, but I've broken both of mine in the 3 years that I've had it, and it's all been operator error. Otherwise, I mean, I went over a curb and smoked one, and the last winter, and then the winter before that, I had all the down pressure of the wing all the way out. Hit a curb, like I said, gutted the cylinder, tweaked the wing, but I was able to put it back in with a ratchet strap. I don't have any dummy cylinders, and my plow didn't break. If you run out of shear pins, or you break the clevis or the little, I guess, kick out on like on an Ebling, your wing's just free swinging. That blade's done. And I was talking, because I was, like I said, I was originally going to go with an Ebling, because that's what one of the dealers I had sold, but they pulled back out of their dealers. You had to go to them to get it, and that's when I went with that short iron, Mid Michigan Snow and Landscape Products. They were a dealer, still are a dealer for Top Gun, and I was able to get parts from them, and that was one of the biggest things for that.
Yeah, like the durability, Jason's design.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we've been able to reverse engineer through Adam Dueling and the team of guys like Tyler, Justin, Eric. They've stepped in to help, and Roger, who's been tacking them together. But the thing, because I almost tried the new Boss a few years ago. It was brand new then. I had to pause it down, and then the shear pins and a few whispers of things. I was like, I just don't. And I didn't have no ownership in any manufacturing at that point. I was like, no, because I like testing. I'm one of everything. I'm the worst for that. One of everything. And so I was like, just check it out. It's an illness, okay? It just happens. So I had a deposit down. I heard the rumblings, talked about a few people, and it was like, I can't do it. I like the risk of downtime and hassle is too much. The system I have works so well. I have beat on this thing intentionally, because when I'm out plowing, for snow cleared, it's doing good. We have lots of good support, lots of good contracts. It's all pretty dialed. I get to go play most of the time, so I'm not there for strictly efficiency purposes. It's like, let's make the biggest, most ridiculous, fastest pile I can haul with and see what happens. Or let's do the same in reverse and just like send it. And the only time I've broken anything was when I hit the base of a light pole, the concrete base, and I just snapped the weld on the cylinder. So luckily one of our guys has a mobile welding ring, and he was at a site 10 minutes away. He was there 10 minutes, boom, bang, glued her back together, and I was back to the races like nothing. So that's one thing I do really appreciate about the blades that Jason's built at Top Gun, is like they can break, but only if you're really trying or you make a pretty honest mistake.
Mm-hmm. So I backed into a building with mine. I've hit 4 or 5 light posts last year, backing in, trying to either back drag a parking space out or just trying to push up to a pile, not paying attention at about 6 in the morning after being up all night. You get that, you're backing up and you get, boom! Oh, wait, there's a concrete light post back there. But I haven't snapped any. I think the worst I did when I backed in that building last winter, I didn't do anything to the building. It was a brick building. I literally put a little, where the marker's at on the back, I just put a little indent in the brick, but it made the blade rise all the way up, and I bent the lower control arm, but didn't break the bolt, didn't break any welds. I simply just readjusted it back level and used it the rest of the winter. And I realized that what I had did, I'm like, it doesn't look right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there was a real pride in the development and the continuing, and we will continue on in this fashion, is like just overbuild it, because things are going to happen. Snow is always chaos and uncertain. I don't care how organized you are. I don't care how prepared you are. Once it happens, there's a quote. I think it was Churchill. I could be dead wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But the quote was basically like, if you don't go into battle with a plan, you will lose. But you need to know as soon as you get into the battle, the plan you have doesn't work, and make a new one. So it's like just the evolution of what needs to happen. But the thing is, if you take the strongest weapon to battle, you got a good shot to start with. And that's like this whole thing is, how do we keep it as strong as we can, limit the downtime, don't make changes to sell cool features, make changes that make the user's experience and the company's experience better, not just something flashy or cute. I'm not into that stuff. I'm a user first. And so how does this benefit the thing? Which is why we're working with all types of creative ideas to see, we're testing them a lot this year to see what sticks, what we think is durable enough to put out in the market to make things even more utility, to switch between equipment, to have all types of options. I can't really discuss publicly because I'm trying to protect some ideas on paper. But that's the idea, is just keep making it stronger, smarter, easier to use, so they can all benefit from the whole thing.
Rob, I had a question for you. I don't know if you can answer, but I've seen it on your skid where you have like the plate on the back. Do you have the hydraulics hooked up, or are the wings just kind of left where they are and you're not, opening and closing?
So that's a snow cleared thing, and the Vancouver, Canada company. So we basically just took some flat bar, I think it was 1/2 inch, and we just built a skid bracket on there. Just tacked it right to the bloody thing. I was like, let's test it. I asked Jason, like, hey, if I tack this thing on and we test it, what happens? He's like, well, your new plow has no warranty. I was like, okay, well, I want to try anyways, so I'll call you if I need parts, but let's try it out. The thing's overbuilt, so it didn't break, but one of our guys built in a wired controller, so into the cab, so run power off the battery, same kind of thing as there's a connection, I think, with one of those wiggly cables. I don't know what you call them. I'm not technical. It's stretchy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like a controller. So your skid, the hydraulic arm goes up and down, and then you can control it with the additional controller. For next year, there will be a direct plumb option. At this point, we're not there, but that's the intention, is to have both options, is you can run it that way.
All sound.
We lost your audio
Testing on there,
Rob.
but I think.
Oh, you're back. You're good. You're good.
Okay. So that's the intention, is I think that's an iteration that solves things we tested through Snow Cleared that will benefit Top Gun, is how do we make this? Because if you're loading salt, which 95% of the companies are loading salt with a skid or a tractor or something, if your truck goes down, like you were saying, Garrett, it's terrifying operating without it. So why don't we make it so other equipment can grab it and go? Because it's a shame to have equipment sitting there not doing anything, just being ready to load salt. It's expensive. Most guys' problem isn't that they have too much money and time. So how do we maximize the time and money that you do have and get you the biggest return? And one of those things here is time. If we can cut down your plow route, let's say by 30 to 50%, literally you just get that time to increase your bottom line. Or if it's a big storm, you get to go help out. So you look good for everybody, you deliver on the service. But it's an obvious answer that most guys just have greater capacity with the equipment they already own to take on more work. Like, to me, that's a dream. That's why I'm all in on this thing. If I can just take more work with the same equipment I have, give me a break. It feels like cheating, which is why I didn't want to tell anybody at home. Guys were like, you're an idiot. You shouldn't buy this plow. You don't know what you're talking about. I was like, okay, our company's doing fine. I don't need your approval. But once I tested it, and it was like, I can't unsee this.
Right. Yeah,
This
that's
thing
exactly
is
what it is. You can't pretend you never used it, or it's like you like seeing the other side, and it's like, whoa, it actually is a lot greener over here. It's actually a lot better over here.
It's legit. Like the video
is.
of Stan is legit. It really does driveways in 10 seconds. It doesn't seem possible, and you get in there like, this is real.
Right.
It's
like,
rare that you.
Yeah.
It's rare that you come across a product like that, right? Everybody promises we're the kings, we'll save the world, and like most of the time it's like, okay, it's cool. It's not what you said, but when you get into this thing,
it's that. Yeah, and so what I do is like I always say, like, oh, people are like, oh, you get the work done half the time, so you bid it half as much. It's like, no, I bid everything what it takes for the front plows. That's what everyone else is doing. So you bid all the work exactly the same, and it's basically just a perk on us to be able to have the plow and still be able to, offer the same end result and do it in way less time. So that's what we do. We take on more, and we're way more profitable with the guys and the trucks that we have, and that's how we're able to scale, because we're able to be profitable and grow at the same time. So that's how we go from one plow truck to over 20 by doing things like that, a bunch of different things like that, running efficiently, sticking with it, putting only certain guys. We have certain guys. We have out of our 40 employees and about 25 truck or like operators, only about half of them want to use one and are good at it. They're a half or so. We have several. They use it a few times. They're not excited about it. And those guys are, like the steady, even keel guys, but they're not the ones that want to, try something new. And that's fine. Not everyone has to. So they're definitely not for everyone. Like every single plow guy in the United States isn't your customer. Only, I would say roughly half or less. Roughly.
We're not selling to everybody. If you're not an A player driver, or you like innovation testing things and adapting, just delete this video. Now give us a thumbs down. Tell us why it's the worst ever. I don't mind. That's right. But like once you see it, you can't unsee it. So putting your top guys in line, and once they value those things too, it's cool. It's a fun vibe. It changes the energy.
It is like every one of our guys that uses them and they love them, but they never want to plow without it. If they were in a different truck or whatever, they're always complaining the whole time. I'm not getting anything done. Like, where's my plow? Where's my truck? Like, I need that. Like all the guys that run a little bit and get used to them, like they never want to go without them.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
Taylor, how about you? You're about to chip in there.
So what I say is, because I have the two trucks I set up that plow. I have my truck that has a 16-footer and a 9.2, and then I have the other truck that has an 8-footer with a 8.2 with wings. I run Boss front plows, and I tell people having even just an 8-foot back blade or 8.5 is still better than having no back blade. The company that I was mentioning that had like 20 trucks in their photo, I think they had 12-footers. But watching them plow, they put their front plow down and then still window everything, but they let that front scoop, whether it be a V plow or I think from what I could see from their pictures, they were blizzards for what they can catch. And then everything that spills off, they catch with the back blade. So you're clearing a 12-foot pass like a loader at not whatever the cost of Garrett said his loader was, or you buy a $100,000 skid steer. Or
I think he said it was $250.
Holy. Like I got in a Facebook argument, you could call it, with one of the snowplow mafia people, that someone was asking about this account. It was a townhome association. They go, how long would it take with the truck and a skid? I said, take a truck in there with a 16-foot back blade and you can do it with just one thing for a lot cheaper than a loader. And the guy said, well, I don't believe that, because at the cost of a truck and a loader, or a truck and a back blade, you're at $100,000. I said, well, if you said it the way I did, I don't buy new trucks. I don't have the budget to buy new trucks. So
most guys don't.
So for my setup, I have about $30,000 put into it. That's $10,000 for the front blade. We'll say $12,000 now for the back blade, and $8 to $10 for the truck. You're at $30 to $32. That's way. And I use the truck all year round, so it's constantly making money. And if you get to where you're running out of space, like you were saying, like Garrett was saying, just take your front plow off, pull everything out, and then you can hook it back up when you start stacking everything. But like we have one account that I picked up this year. It's a manufacturing property. It's one of the bigger ones in my town where I live. It's about 100,000 square feet, and it should technically be done probably with a piece of equipment, but I bid it to do it with a truck. At most, to take 2 to 3 hours. I've watched the company last year did, and it took them all of that, and they were just using straight blades, pushing it all over. So the perimeter of the parking lot's kind of like this. The entire perimeter is all tore up from them stacking it. And I found it all over the summer. And I said, hey, where do you guys want the snow? Because I know the company you had last year just put it everywhere. And they go, well, it doesn't really matter. I said, well, we have back blades. And the guy perked his ear and goes, oh my God, you have a back blade? I go, yes. He showed me a loading dock where they had to snow blow out. And then there was another little alley where another manufacturing or another place is at. They're like, well, push it up this way and push it up this way. Don't cover the drain because we flooded the building last year. I said, we can pull it all out and put it wherever. That's where I have a hard time with people they say, oh, a wide out can do this or a piece of equipment, or just because I just know how backblades are. They're super productive. You can put snow wherever you want to go. There's no limit to it. If you really want to move as fast as a loader, turn the thing around and push backwards, and you're pushing it 60. You have a 16-foot pusher.
Yes, straight blade, touch it up. Like 16 feet straight blade is crazy. And so it is a newer technology in the way that it hasn't been around since snowplows have been around, but it's been around since the 80s. Yes. And the guys that know, they know. But it feels weird being in a conversation. I mean, in any online group, it's pretty easy to pick a fight. All you have to say is, hi, my name is Rob. And they're like, your name's not Rob. The whole thing is a bit ridiculous, but it's hard trying to explain, no, look, I don't know you, but I know that the solution solves your problem. But you don't believe me because it seems too good to be true. It seems weird, but from experience, it's a no-brainer. But I'm not going to beat you over the head to convince you why this is a better option.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the reason I'm doing these series of talks. We'll be doing more of these is to explain, look, guys use these all the time. It's not magic, although it does feel like cheating. At least that's how it feels for me. And it breaks down less than everything else I run. Okay, the math's pretty good. I already own the truck. All I got to do is put the blade on here, and we could swap it between trucks. It's snow cleared. We could swap it between tractors, skid steers, small loaders, which might be an option in the future for Top Gun sooner than later. It just feels like this is the sweet spot for plowing.
Right. Yeah, I think Rob, like you said, these plows have been used since the 80s. I think it matters so much regional because before I seen that video, I didn't know a back plow was a thing. I had already been in the industry 4 or 5 years, and no one's ever mentioned the back plow. No one, I think people don't know that people have been using them in Muskegon, Michigan since 45 years ago. People don't know that.
Yeah.
Until people started making YouTube videos, till Stand It, and I've made a bunch now. Until people started making a lot of videos, people just didn't know. They never heard of them. They've been around for 30 years, but you only knew it if you're in Muskegon or wherever they are concentrated, because everyone there has one. But I've never been to Muskegon in my life. I never heard of it until I seen that video. So I think now more people know about it, but there's still big areas where there's no availability to them.
Yeah, not yet. And we'll expand the dealer network to make it make sense and set up some displays and do a bit more kind of travel to expose guys of how obvious it is. But it is a rare day when a piece of technology does feel like it's a game changer. And for me, it was is this actually a best kept secret in snow? Because everybody BS's all the time and hypes up their thing, but this is a no joke, literally feels like cheating. When you can grab both lanes and drive, you saved 2 additional passes from what I've always done with the front blade that. And because of the way we price it, we make the same as if I was there instead of the 60 minutes. If I was there for 2 hours, 120 minutes or longer, we charge the same.
Exactly. Because if you bid it off that, you have way more work than you could ever do, and you'd be doing it for cheap. And then you don't want to just make 20%, 30%, whatever else doing. You want to make 50, 60% and actually get ahead and not just pay the bills. And that's how you do it, is with the back blade. There's no other way to do it with the truck. And you don't have to buy a $250,000 loader because someone's going to say, well, you can get a loader for 80 grand, which you can. You can get an old one, or you can get a small new one for 120, 150, whatever. Problem is, a lot of guys don't have to work for those in the summer. Everyone has to work for a truck year round. Us, we don't buy seasonal equipment. We buy year-round equipment, which is pickups, which is, for us, a front loader, because we have to work for it in the summer. We're always moving material around site. We're always loading trucks. A lot of guys don't. So that's where you putting that on your truck just to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm in the camp of that. I cut grass in the summer. I don't do any hardscapes. I don't do any dirt work. So a loader for me is just going to sit all summer. So I'm going to buy the $50,000 loader for CAT or AIS equipment it's lived its life doing asphalt or being in a pit for most of its life. So you're looking at the 05, 06, 07 machines before they went to DEF. And then it's just going to sit for 8 months out of the year. So I'm like, where I've evaluated is getting like there's things I've seen around me. They're the bigger, like 5,000 or 6,000 series tractors that you put a 16, 18 foot backblade on, and then you put a power plow up front. You're still moving this much snow as a loader because you have the blade. You just can't push it up as far. Where all my friends, they all have loaders because they're big in snow. They got big parking lots. So I'll just pay somebody hourly rate to push the piles. And in the summertime, I would just use that tractor to do brush hogging or a farm, or put a loader arm on it to do mulch, or whatever it is you can do with a tractor. I don't know. That's on the list of wants, but
yeah. But this isn't required. If you could pay somebody a couple $100, let's say it was $500, you're still saving crazy payments. And most places don't need snow stacked to the moon. We're not building pyramids.
Right.
Like, there's this thing that happens on the internet. It's like, but it's not 100 feet tall. It's like, why do you need a 100-foot snow pile?
Well, Rob, here's the other thing though, is no one talks about, okay, stacked snow is great. Either way, to stack snow, you need a massive footprint. You don't see snow stacked 30 feet tall, 10 feet wide. That's not a thing. So you don't have, like in townhomes, we don't have room to stack snow 30 feet tall because they're only 20 feet apart. We literally have like 10 feet in the middle, 15 feet in the middle. So it's like, to stack snow a mile high, you got to have a massive area. And if you have a massive area, you don't need to stack it like high. It doesn't make sense. You stack it 8 feet tall everywhere. And like that is what it is. If anyone wants it stacked higher, move back, then that's coming back and that's blowing it back, that's hauling it out. That's whatever. Like the stacking isn't a thing. It's not an issue for us. It's never been a problem. Like,
no, for me either. It's a problem for the trolls who want to find problems and pick fights. But guys who are experienced know the difference. Like that's like a industry thing. That's not a which blade or equipment do you run. Because, okay, great. You run a $1 million loader with the fanciest double Arctic you ever imagined. Okay. Like the thing still can't like hit the highway. For us, that's a big deal to do 60 miles or 100 kilometers to go to the next site and do a huge open area with crazy efficiency. You can't do that. I don't care how much you spend on a loader. You're not hitting the highway like that. It's not the same thing. So when I compare it to loaders in particular, it's about the square footage. To be able to do 16 or 20 feet at a few inches, it absolutely does compete with a loader. It just, tell me what you want. It's true.
It does. Yeah, it is. When we put it side by side and on a big open lot, it's faster. It'll get the snow off the lot faster, way faster than a loader, especially if you can make like loops and you don't even got to turn around, back up, nothing. Another thing is we need some
footage of that. We got to show.
I gotta get snow first.
All the online anonymous handles that like, no, here's from a drone looking down. Yeah. Let's just see, what is the map? Is it good or is it not good?
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, once you have it, you don't want to go without it. It's been a ton of fun. We would never want to not have them. The only issues we've had is broken a few cylinders, and that's from hitting stuff you don't know about. Like one was like I think an 8x8 timber that was frozen to the ground all winter, and I was plowing a new site that he had just his first time being there, and I just caught it with the end of the wing, like it wasn't going to give. It was so frozen in, so it just broke cylinder. So you slap a new cylinder on there. We do have one of those like dummy cylinders. It's like a lock basically. Just throw a pin on each. So he just tucked like his right wing in and then still plowed all night long. He just had his right wing and he's still more efficient than any front plow rest of the night. With the walk, plowed rest of the night just like that and then put a new cylinder on there. That's about it. We've had I think a couple cylinders over the last 4 or 5 years. But we didn't have any like the first like 3 years. And then we've got 1 or 2, but other than that it's been good.
And most time it takes operator error to break those. You're not just going to be pulling concrete, wet snow, and it's going to give.
No. Another thing I would say is the only time we've ever broke those cylinders when you smack something that would destroy any other plow, really. And as far as when you get a lot of snow, people are like, what do you do when you get a lot of snow? Well, it's still the greatest thing ever when you have a lot of snow. You just take smaller bites instead of going all the way open. You just go smaller, or you go halfway across the lot and pull. Like I'm talking when you have 8 inches of snow, which normally you don't because you have a a commercial account, you're plowing it during the snowstorm. But say you have we plow a horse ranch, they're never pressed to get open. They don't care. They don't go anywhere. So like we'll go plow there and they'll be 8 inches of snow. Then we just take smaller bites, or you go halfway to the pile and you take that because the plow's loaded up and full by the time you get there, and then go back and get the back half. I mean, whether you have 2 inches of snow
or you
12,
just get your RPMs and speed up, mess a little bit higher. Just hit it.
Yeah, but it's like no matter how much snow you have, it still works great. You take smaller bites. It's like with any other plow. You don't take, with a massive, pusher on the skid or loader, you still can't take a big bite because it bogs out or it only carries so much. So it's no different than any other plow. It's like little snow, a lot of snow, it works great.
Yeah, it's just an industry thing, right? Those are plow questions, not pole plow questions.
Yeah,
I went to a meetup with Brian's Lawn Maintenance, and they're just 2.5. They're about 100 miles from us in Southeast Michigan and Detroit, where backblades are not a thing. There's boss, that's about it if you do have one. And I had people looking at me like, I think a comment has been like a new cow looking at a gate. Like, what the heck is that? And they're like, oh, I feel like it's harder on the truck. I go, but it's not. You pull trailers all summer with your truck. It's the same thing. I mean, your hitch on a truck are only held in by one pin, where these have two. Or if you have a Snow Power or a Boss 180, you're in the rails and you're in the hitch. So it's like, I don't feel like it's any harder on the truck than if you go put a massive gooseneck on and put how many thousands of pounds on that and drag that around.
No, well, is a truck designed for pushing or pulling? It's obviously designed for pulling. Is a truck designed for sorry, I'm sick. My brain just went. Is it designed for pushing or pulling? And is it designed for payload or designed for front end load? Like it goes in the back. It's made to pull. Like it's just that's how they're designed. There hasn't been a better plow for a truck, I think, until now. But this, some of my guys in the company that run Dodges, they blow out the front ends every couple of years if they're telling the truth. It just is. I haven't had that. I only run a pole plow on the truck. I go out occasionally. Goldie, like it's just a back blade. I don't even have anything on the front, and that thing just hauls. It's so much more fun.
It is.
So I have nice open areas where I get to test it and just pin it and see, as long as I don't look too bad on the security cameras, I push my luck all the time. And it's more natural. If it was like a bucket, say, that scooped and held snow, that'd be very different. But because all the weight is just sitting on the asphalt and we're just riding together.
You're not carrying any weight but the plow. And when it's down, trying to carry that, all you're doing is pulling. It's like pulling a trailer. It's like you're pulling a skid loader. That's all it is. Instead of pushing.
Yes. I've pulled a lot heavier trailers. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, there is some snow that packs into the truck, but in our experience, I've never had a single issue. Like we've had a lot of snow. We have red foot where the truck's just kick. I'm pulling snow and it's coming up in the box moving so much. But it all melts off and it's fine. It's like you drive around the snow. Either way, your truck's caked. And yes, definitely a little more will stick underneath at times, but I've never had an issue. And we have trucks. Our oldest truck we have it on, I think, is like a 2013. So it's been used and abused since new. So that's had 10 years of abuse. And we haven't had any transmission problems. We haven't had any, rear end problems. Like I think it's better for the trucks, honestly. They're balanced. It puts polling. Like it's if I had, if you had to pick one plow for your truck and you want to keep that truck for 20 years, like it would last longer with the pole plow guaranteed.
I think that's no question. That's not even like everything in the internet world is debatable, but genuinely is like, that's not even, if you understand the mechanics of the thing, it's just not possible for a front blade to be better unless it's a cutie pie.
And any truck is meant to have the load in the back. It's meant to pull and it's meant to have the payload in the back. You don't ever see someone put a stack of brick on the hood of the vehicle and carry it around like that. They put it in the box. Like you don't carry weight in the front of your vehicle. It's not what it's really designed for. It's meant for the back.
Yeah, it's there to hold the motor. It's already working hard, especially with the diesel. There's already lots of weight up there. And especially you cantilever that weight.
Yeah,
I mean, that sucker's when it bounces. You hit a good bump on the highway or something. Yeah. Oh, it's uncomfortable.
Like we have a couple of trucks that don't have back blades, and like when you have gas or diesel and you have a big plow in the front, it's like it just makes the back so light and just wants to kick out. Like your parents got to add counterweight. You got to add sandbags, something in the back to balance that weight, and you have way better traction and way better control.
Big time. Have either of you ever hit a manhole cover with like a skid steer or anything?
I've snagged a manhole with my back blade.
Tell me about it.
So there's a lot we do. Actually, it's not even manholes. It's 2 drains, and they were the asphalt was cut around these drains, so they're out a good 5-6 inches. If you hit them, I hit them every single storm with a wing last season, and since these don't have a steel cutting edge, it doesn't grab it. Like a steel cutting edge will drag better. Like most other backblade brands, they usually run a steel moldboard and poly wings. I'd catch it with a moldboard, I'd catch it with the wing, and it would just ride up over because it's plastic. It doesn't bite as much. Yes, you leave a little bit, but we're coming back through with salt. So, and it's
leaving a bit is a whole lot cheaper than leaving your teeth on the dash.
Oh my gosh. But like what I can compare to is a guy that mentored me that runs the Eblings. He was plowing a manufacturing place, a dirt parking lot, which probably does better in dirt too. And he was catching manholes, and he about ripped this. He felt like he was gonna rip his backwood off every single storm we went out. I'd be on the phone with him, and I hear expletives and curse words, and I'm like, found that manhole again. He goes, yep. I'm like, probably not so bad now, is it? And that's where everyone will say, well, the steel will do better. I don't think so. I don't like the sound of it just going across the parking lot. On the front plows, it's not as bad, but like doing residential driveways, it's quieter. It tear up turf. There's more benefit. There's more pros to cons, in my opinion. But I'm only one person. I can only have my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's good. Garrett, what about you? You hit manhole covers?
Yeah, we've hit just about everything now. We were plowing with one of our guys was in skid. I told him, I was like, there's a couple manholes, a new development, so like there wasn't the final lift on the asphalt, all new roads, everything they put in right before the snow, so we didn't really have much time to look it over and plan like we normally do, stake everything off. So we were plowing with a skid in a bucket, and there was like, I told him, I was like, don't put a lot of pressure in the curb in these few areas because it's like the inlets there. So if you have pressure like kind of with a bucket, you plowing with a bucket. And if you put much pressure in, you hit that edge. So he was going full speed, 2-speed, and he hit that. He put a little bit of pressure into the curb, and he hit like that edge of the manhole. Like tucked the bucket right in there, came to a dead stop, and he literally just boom! He shattered the windshield with his forehead. He had glass and stuff on his forehead. Just shattered. You just see like the bar like, kind of stomach, and boom! Just put his head right through the windshield. He came walking.
I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking about losing your teeth, man. It's real.
Yeah, it is real. Like this guy had like a gash in his forehead. He comes up to me. It looked like he's got shot in the head. He was like his whole face was bloody. He had glass. Was like blood running down his face. I'm like, whoa, this ain't good. But he was fine. We brought him home.
Oh, that'd be rough. Oh, dang.
Yeah, he was fine, but yeah,
that's why I asked, because I had an experience like that early on, and when I was learning to plow with a little skidder, and I don't I'm not like a pessimist. I don't have bad dreams at night. When I see manhole covers, I think about snow. Like I like wince. In everything is like I've felt that pain. It is shocking when you're like plowing. Everyone's going. You know what time it is. You're trying to track. You're getting your groove, and then out of nowhere, no one did anything to you. Everything comes to a stop, and it hurts like a mother. Like to put your head through Lexan. There's no way. No matter how hard somebody slams your head, you're not putting it through Lexan. But for the machine, that's the prize. I know another guy that woke up with his forehead in the Lexan, punched through. It's like, this is terrifying. Everybody has got a story about a manhole cover. But honestly, I'm like full down pressure, send it right over the manhole cover with a pull plow. And the UMHW just slips on over. No matter how much down pressure I have, is like, I'm trying to take one with me more now than I am worried about hitting one ever. It's changed everything for me.
Yeah, it is. And the dynamic of the plow, how it's mounted, the bars that go down like this, so it wants to go up and over. It's not, it's not like digging, coming to dead stop.
Yeah, it flies back. Even with the front blade, I've hit it with a Hinneker. I've hit it with a Western wideout. Still, that blade slams forward. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. It's loud. It doesn't feel good. You feel it on the rails, and it's like,
it's not good for your truck.
No, it's all ugly. All bad. Yeah, all bad.
Rob, have you ever put steel cutting edges on yours?
No.
We ours were worn down, and we had a bunch of steel ones laying around. It's like, we'll slap these on there and see what happens. So we did. They're like 3.5 inches. We had them on the wings, and I think we have them on the mold bar. I'm not sure. I know we for sure had them on the wings, and honestly, they work great because like some like front plows, they want to jitter sometimes, kind of concrete stuff. But we never really had them all the way out. Even when we did, it wasn't bad because it's always kind of angling forward. And the guy, I mean, it worked. I mean, it worked just as good. Maybe dug in a little more, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it works fine. If you have, it seems like the wings always wear a little quicker. So if you like I think what we did is we even like doubled it up to where we had the poly and we had the steel, so it kind of slowed down the wear on the wings. Then like that worked great. I think we still have 1 or 2 PASM on there, and it's been no problem at all.
Cool. So, but not like a dramatic difference. It's not like you're losing because you have UMHW on there. That was just like a fix that like solved the problem, but it wasn't like, OMG, this needs to happen, because the UMHW does better than most people would expect if they haven't run it, I find.
Yeah, it does a lot less damage, and it's just softer and easier. Like it has more give. We basically threw some steel ones on 1 or 2 of them because it was like middle of winter. We didn't, they needed something. We had some steel ones laying around, just threw them on there. Like, try it, see what happens, and it worked great.
Not manufacturer recommended, but we all do things in a pinch. That's for damn sure. Okay, so we should wrap this up. I got 2 last questions for each of you. One, if you were talking to a rookie, it's his first year, he's going in this winter, what's one piece of advice that you would suggest to him?
I would say you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I would just say go slow and know what your sights look like before going into the season. And like my first winter, because I was a rookie 3 winters ago, the guy I plowed for, I was in that situation, had a back blade, and he didn't stake anything. So I'd go show up at the first sight, everything's covered in a foot of snow, and I'm like, I just went slow. Luckily, when I hit stuff, it didn't do anything, but just mainly just going slow, taking your time to learn the plow. And then, because once you're smooth, smooth is fast. So,
yeah. Garrett,
I would say, I guess if you're happy with just being ordinary, then just stick with the front plow. But if you want to be extraordinary, if you want to do twice as much, same amount of time, and and offer it the same end result in way less time and have way more fun doing it, then definitely get a back blade. Like just try it. Like you can't go off anyone's opinion. You gotta try it for yourself. And to be honest, like I know snow guys all over the upper Midwest, all over the place, and I don't know any of them that's ever got a back blade and was like, nah, like this isn't gonna work for me. Like and sold it like that. That never happens. Everyone that has them loves them and keeps them. Like if you go online and you look for a back blade for sale, you never see any. They never are for sale because everyone's like it's rare. Every once in a while you see one, but it gets rare.
Yeah. Okay, second question. Hypothetical. Hypotheticals are kind of stupid, but they exist for a purpose. If you had to choose one, you got a truck, and then you could pick anything for the front or anything from the back, but you can only pick one. It's a front blade or a back blade, could have certain functions. And this is not I haven't paid you guys to say anything. This is not like what would you choose? What would you recommend? In particular, like speaking to rookies to get them set up. If you have to pick one thing, what would that be for you?
I think it kind of depends. There's so many variables, like the accounts you have, because like if you're pulling a skiddy, then you probably want a front so you can pull a skiddy. Are you plowing, long?
But we're just a truck. You have one truck. You have nothing else. You need a blade. What would you go with?
I think that one, for me, that's a tough one. I mean, you can, because there's certain times where, like I said, like we're obviously the back plow, it always works for getting around stuff. And I mean, we go narrower, go wider. I mean, to be honest, I have plowed a few times with only a back blade, and it's still good. But I've always had a front, I've always had a front anyway, So I don't know. It's honestly, that's a tough one.
Good.
I mean,
tell the truth. I'm not after this. Is no trickery. I want to really share with guys what we're doing and how people view things. So tell the whole truth.
I think I mean, if you were just starting, I can remember when I was starting, like I didn't have the money for a new back plow the first year, so I went and bought an old front plow, and that got me by for my first year. Then the second year, I was able to buy one. So I mean, that's honestly a tough question to answer, but I mean, you'd be fine with either or, for your first one.
Cool.
But I would want to get both in the near future.
Yeah, right. Taylor, where you at?
I guess I should get clarification. Is the truck that we have, does it already have a front plow when we buy it, or is it a truck that's not outfitted with plows?
You just got a pickup truck, 4-wheel drive, decent tires.
I guess for me, it'd be I would go with the back plow just because 90% of the time that's what I use, even in driveways, parking lots. because that's how I plow mostly. Most time I like I said, I run the V plows, I run them up, and I just keep them folded back to keep me from hitting stuff. Because my first winter had a straight blade out front, I was almost banging on cars and light poles. But I guess it also comes from the market I'm in, that the swing wings have been around since the 80s, 90s. So I'd rather not have a front plow like Rob does and just run my back blade, because I'll just push backwards if I need to get wider. If you need to be at 8 foot, keep the wings folded in and pull forward and spin around and push back up and stack it. I would probably go with a plow that has the like the Snow Powers, where they have that 180 function where you can scoop a little bit more, so they're not just straight, but just any really 16-foot back blade for that.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate you taking time. We all have lives to tend to and stuff, but I'm trying to share with more snow guys, in particular guys getting into the biz, younger guys, like what to expect, how does it go? Are these brand new? Are they reliable? Why would you do it? So stuff like this is really informative. I mean, like you and I, Garrett, we learned on YouTube from Stan the Dirt Monkey, is like, this is crazy that I even found this thing. And it's not like some hoax. It's the real deal. Yeah. So I was kind of greedy. I didn't want to share with anybody how good it was and how much it improved my business. But now that I'm in ownership of it, it's like, okay, this probably is like best kept secret from my perspective, from all the things I run. And so now it's part of my mission is to like explain that these aren't new, explain how it would be shocking if it didn't dramatically impact your business in a positive way. And the way I will do those first two things is by Dan making us all look good online, on YouTube, Instagram, wherever, is tell the story well from real guys who are telling the truth, and then just give it time. So that's huge for me to have your guys' time helping me do this. I really appreciate that, fellas.
Sure.
Oh, definitely. If you got any more questions, don't feel free to reach out, because like I said, I'm in the small market where they're common. You're gonna get your truck to last longer. You're gonna go probably do the work of 2 or 3, 4 trucks with just front plows, and you're gonna get a longer life out of that original investment if you do buy a new truck, or if you run a used truck. Like my newest truck's an 11, the oldest one's from 96. They're still pushing snow, so
still making money. That's the sweet spot there. You're earning pretty good. That's a good bottom line you got.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty. Okay. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for being here. Sure, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.